Hello, lovely people, and welcome back to the Divine Feminine Healers podcast. It is Angelica here, coming all the way from Los Angeles, feeling pretty hot and sweaty. We're in the dead of summer, but I absolutely love summer so much, mainly because it's my birthday in the summertime. I just had my birthday on August 6th, and it was filled with so much love. I am so grateful to be really close with a really big Italian family. I went home in Chicago for a little bit and spent time with my family. And then I came back to LA and I spent some beautiful time with my friends, eating really good, yummy meals and going out dancing and having fun and having really deep and supportive conversations. I'm just feeling so full of love and so grateful. And I just want to thank all of you who wish me a happy birthday. Thank you so, so much. And I love taking the time of my birthday to think of this is when I'm starting my year, really. So today I took the time to have a little cup of cacao and I really evaluated what was the themes and the lessons that I learned in this past year. Where was I really growing? And what do I want to create this year ahead? What do I want to be really cognizant of moving forward? And how can I really integrate all those lessons that I've learned? And I always like to come back to one word for how I can almost cast an intention for this year ahead. So my word for this year is miracles. And very much my practice these past couple of months is how can I pull myself back in the present moment? I noticed that living in this Western world, I want to rush through things and I can get really impatient and I can constantly be in this zone of wanting that next thing before realizing that I actually manifested everything that I have in my life right now. And it's so beautiful where it's at right now. Like truly, when I look around and I'm just in my body and seeing everything that's in my life that I've wanted, from living in this beautiful place, having access to nature, being surrounded by like-minded friends, both spiritual and soul-centered, I couldn't be more grateful for all the blessings in my life. And I know that that is just such a miracle. And although I can still have really strong desires and I dream very big, I still have very big dreams of where I want to take my life and where I want to go. And I'm so excited to see those bigger miracles come into play. My practice right now is how can I really appreciate even just the smallest miracles for what I have? Like I went grocery shopping yesterday and I was like, wow, just the abundance of whole organic food that I have at my fingertips and feeling so nourished with all the fresh fruits that are in season right now and vegetables. And I just felt so comforted and held in that. So that's my practice. That's my intention for the year ahead. Now, for today's episode, I wanted to get into, of course, an astrological update of what's happening in the sky. And it's really going to play into this theme of power, which I'm going to be doing kind of a series in this for the next couple of weeks. Stepping into my power has been a huge part of my journey, in my healing journey, and as an entrepreneur. And given the current energies that are happening in the sky right now, that's what I really see. So in the Northern Hemisphere, we're very much in summer, and summer is ruled by the sun, and the sun rules light and power and visibility and confidence and taking forward action and manifestations, very much all this fiery energy. So Ayurvedically, we're in the summer season, which is ruled by the sun, very much ruled by the Pitta dosha, and we're seeing a lot of these themes of power and visibility. Now, astrologically, this is also it's a time to really evaluate our relationship with the sign Leo. The sun will move into Leo August 17th. And we also just had Venus retrograded in Leo, which ended on the last day was August 6th. And then on August 7th, Venus moved into Cancer from Leo. It's in retrograde. And then currently right now we have Mars and Mercury in Leo. So we have a lot of this fiery energy, and Leo, as I mentioned in my last podcast, is related to the pride. So our relationship to being prideful and also being really confident in our gifts and our skills, and also visibility and taking leadership and whatever that means, and taking forward action, being ambitious. I mean, simply the energy that I really love. I love Leo energy. I have it a lot in my Vedic chart, and my sun is in Leo in my Western chart, and I surround myself with a lot of Leos, and I have them in my family too. And I just absolutely love that type of energy of just being so unapologetic of who you are and not caring what other people think. That to me is true magnetism, and is when you create the most abundance in your life, like the most fullness. And I just love that energy so much. And it's not always time for that energy. Like wintertime, no. It's time to go inward. It's time to recluse. But now is the time where we can face any fear where we're feeling like we want to hide in the shadows. This is why I love astrology, because it gives us a really good template of saying, hey, but it's summer. So do you really need to go inward during this time? Or is this a fear that's coming up that's holding you back from really being visible and really showing up as your fullest potential right now? Now, if you are very much into the spirituality world, you may have heard that there was a very significant date that happened this week, which was called the Lions Gate, that happened on August 8th. So this is very much a Western ideation and is not from Vedic astrology, which I follow because that mirrors astronomy. And so I just want to briefly come on here and talk about Lionsgate because I think it's very fun. And I think that both Western astrology and Vedic astrology are always saying the same thing if you are truly learning and listening from someone who's intuitive, because that intuitive is not just looking at cognitively what's happening in the sky and looking at the more logistics behind it. They're looking at that as a base, but they're also intuitively reading into the energetics because they're empathic and they have intuitive gifts. So I always think it doesn't matter which one you follow, they're basically saying the same thing. Of course, if you're following someone who's deeply intuitive. However, it is fun to kind of know, I think it's very interesting to know the whys and logistics behind it. So, why 8-8 is considered a Lion's Gate portal, it's basically opening up this energy into Leo. And in Western astrology, it is said that on 8-8, the Earth, the Sun, Orion's belt, and the star of Sirius are all aligned and then in the sign of Leo. So, very much a lot of this fire energy. They say it's a potent time for manifestation. And this portal opens on 8-8 and goes all the way through August. And so, very much I'm on board for that because Vedically, I see, yeah, it's Leo. Mars and Mercury are in Leo right now. Venus just got out of Leo, and the Sun is moving into Leo in this month. So, of course, we're entering into Leo season. Like, bring on the visibility, bring on the power. I'm totally here for it. Now, before we talk about manifestations and setting our intentions and visions, which I freaking love doing, in order to do that and have clear visions, you do have to do clearing first. As we know, you can only become this full and bright light after you've integrated your shadows, after you've met the part of yourself that you deemed so unworthy of love, that you deemed so shameful, and you felt so guilty for that identity. Once you face that fear and integrated it into your wholeness, that's what expands your light the most. So, in this series of how we can step into our power in our healing journey and for our business, this first episode, I'm going to go into how we give away our power, because in Ayurveda, that is the first step in healing, is awareness. Same thing in yoga as well. The first step is always awareness. You first have to notice what are the patterns in which you're giving away your power so that you can stop those patterns. And I'm not saying a hard stop. You wouldn't tell that to an addict, right? This is simply just the awareness of noticing these layers and how you may be subconsciously self-sabotaging yourself and giving away your power. A lot of times, of course, we don't know we're giving away our power. It's not like we're talking to someone and say, yeah, I'm totally cool with you taking my power. No, it happens because it's in our blind side. It's something that we haven't brought into this conscious state yet. So I've had a huge journey with giving away my power in my personal life and in my business and in my healing journey. And that's what I'm going to kind of go into today too, because you're not alone. And even though I am a coach and a healer and a guide, whatever you want to call it, and I help other people through these fears and these blocks, I am not immune to them. In fact, the only way that I am worthy to guide other people is because I have been through them, and I'm continuously going to commit on the path to process them so that I can fully be visible in my light. Okay. So a big childhood wounding that I had around power came from my upbringing with Christianity and Catholicism. And I am not ragging on religion at all. My whole family is very Christian Catholic, and I'm a firm believer in believing whatever you need to believe in a higher source and power. However, I am going to be very honest that there was definitely wounding growing up in this religion, into this system. And one of the ideologies that I've taken on from that is thinking that there's a right or there's a wrong way. I went to a Catholic school up until fifth grade, and it was so much good girl, bad boy mentality. Very much, you can do this, you absolutely can't do that. You wore nail polish. I remember I had to go in the sink and try to scrape it off, which if you're a woman, you know that that's nearly impossible. But then you have the shame of wearing nail polish and feel like you're bad for just trying to express yourself or any type of way. And then, wearing uniforms and then not being able to wear socks or certain shoes and being sent home if not. There was so much of that ingrained into it. And then specifically also around sexuality, I remember being terrified of anything to do with my sexuality and sensuality. And if I had those urges and desires, I really suppressed them and put them away because I thought that they were dirty. I thought that that was wrong. And then I thought there was something wrong with me for having those desires. And so that belief, that thread of there's something wrong with me for having desires, told me that it's not safe to trust my desires. My desire for even material things, or my desire for love and lust, the seven deadly sins, which we all innately have, are human. And because I knew that these were deadly, that these were forbidden, and God didn't love you if you had these sins, then I really deemed them as unlovable. So that started this whole journey for me of negating that I had these parts of myself. I just thought, I'm not jealous, I'm not greedy, I don't have these parts of myself. And if I renounce them, then that means that I could be clear and I could be a good Christian and all that type of stuff. So there's kind of like definitely a journey that I've been on with going from one extreme to the next because of this, because I have held on to this belief that there's a right or there is a wrong way of doing things. It definitely led to perfectionist tendencies, which when I was on my healing journey, I felt like, oh, I have to have the perfect diet. I was so specific. Well, even when I started to learn Ayurveda, that I had to have everything be Ayurvedic and everything had to be organic. I went into veganism, which I recently just broke last year. And then I was so strict on that of only having plants because I felt like I was a bad person if I was contributing to the environmental issues that we have, and to think that I didn't respect animals for exercising my power that we had over them. And this also infiltrated into my spirituality. So when I went to India and when I learned Kundalini and meditation and very much the traditional form of yoga, I thought that I was a terrible person for teaching a lot of these Western versions of yoga. So I felt ashamed every single time that I taught them. And at the same time, I thought that in order to be spiritual, I had to follow a lot of guidelines. So for like 2 years, I didn't watch any TV. I meditated twice a day, sometimes for like 3 to 4 hours. I had to do specific mantras. Like, I was so strict in it that I really just lost all the joy and the passion that I had for these things like Ayurveda and spirituality. And then I also stopped drinking completely too, because I thought, oh gosh, what an awful person I am for drinking. That's poison to my body, all these things, right? There's a right or a wrong. And a lot of times I see this associated with my Pitta clients because they have perfectionist tendencies and they are constantly asking me, when should I launch my project, and what is the right way to do a launch, and what are the step-by-step process. Like, we are just trained in our mind to think that there is a very definitive right way of doing things and there's a very definitive wrong way of doing things. And so sometimes this paralyzes us from taking the next step because we're so afraid we're going to take the wrong one. We're going to make a mistake and then we'll feel like we're being punished, or we're going to feel super ashamed for taking that humane step. So this is something that I'm always and constantly unraveling, but trying to notice when I'm going from one extreme to the next of wanting to be a pure good girl, and how can I find the middle ground and really meet myself where I'm at? And how can I find love and acceptance for all parts of myself and all the human parts? So I started to actually crave meats. It was like about a year ago, once I was really starting to build a relationship with my desires again. Like I started dreaming about chicken, which I didn't even really like chicken when I was eating meat. And it was just crazy. And then I ate chicken and my body was like, thank you. Yes, I feel so much better. And then I gave up drinking for 2 years. I was sober and so behind it. And I really loved that period of my life of like gaining back power of my life and feeling like a substance didn't have power over me. And then I thought, wow, is this the same story that I've been repeating of going from one extreme to the next? And do I like just what people think of me of being sober more so than is this really bringing me joy? Can I have a healthy relationship with a substance that, obviously is not doing the absolute best thing for my body 24/7, but it's bringing me connection. It's fulfilling a desire that I have. Maybe I won't be doing it forever, but if it's something that my body wants, I'm learning how to trust it and build a relationship with it. So, if you're on your healing journey and you're kind of feeling trepidatious on what that next step could be, come back to what your desires are, that little impulse that you have within you, and deconstruct why you may think that you are not worthy to follow that desire, why there is any shame wrapped around that. It's something to get curious about because any desire that is built in you, I firmly believe, is meant to come into full fruition. And of course, there's things that we need to clear, and there's things that maybe are not actually what our soul wants. Like aligning with our soul desires versus our egoic desires is very different. However, I think that a lot of times, especially in the spirituality world, it can be puritanical by nature of saying that it has to look like this and it has to look like that. It doesn't. Everyone's healing journey is so different. And what I've learned from Ayurveda is that it empowers you to find your uniqueness, celebrate your unique mind, body, and spirit. And how can you celebrate that in finding your unique healing plan? I work with my clients when we come up with our healing treatment plans. Does this work for you in your body? How does that feel? Of course, I have, a guideline. I have things that I know work given my past clients. But if it doesn't feel right for you and aligned for you, given your current circumstances, it's meaningless. You're not going to apply it, and maybe you're going to go back to old habits, whatever it is. So being real and present with yourself is the hugest thing on your healing journey. And I've seen this affect my business in so many different ways, like thinking that, oh gosh, if I had a failed launch, I did it the wrong way. No, I very much needed to learn those specific lessons and those mistakes and integrate them so that I can be even more visible in my next launch cycle. I'm super grateful. I've had so many failures, and thank God, because I was able to really learn from them. And then from those mistakes, I was able to make adjustments. I was able to refine and then come up with my own processes so that I can feel even more confident stepping into it. So other ways I have personally experienced this and see my clients experience this, like right or wrong thing, is giving away your power to systems or people or anything that's outside of yourself. When I first learned Ayurveda, I was like, all hail Ayurveda, this is incredible. But I very much gave away my power thinking that I would always look up everything and say perfect diet for Pitta. And I would research it and make sure that what I was eating was on that list of what are the best foods for Pitta, right? I was giving away my power to a science who was like, hey, that's not what I'm trying to say here. You're kind of missing the point. But because I fully am so committed to these type of systems and traditions, I wanted to be fully in. Now, the same thing can happen with a coach or with a guide. If that guide is not empowering you to come back to trust your own intuition and your own desires, it's something else to get curious about, right? They may have their own projections where they need confidence. They get their confidence from you relying on them and creating that codependent relationship. And I've also had codependent relationships with, family and with friends of thinking that I can only do this if I have support from this family member. I can only have a successful business if I have a business partner. For those of you know, I used to have a business partner, and I very much was never going to start my business unless I had a partner because I thought there's absolutely no way that I could do this on my own. And I hear that from a lot of my clients. They're like, "You're so lucky." Well, when I was with my business partner, they would say, "You're so lucky that you have a business partner to do this with. Like, it would be so much easier." And it can be such a crutch if it's truly not the most aligned relationship. And that's not to say that in that moment it wasn't. I'm so grateful for the partnership. I learned so much and we supported each other and it was a beautiful relationship. And there also comes a time when you have to admit when you're giving away your power to something and when you are just fearful of being able to fully show up as yourself and be really visible. Now, other ways that I gave away my power was not digesting my emotions, especially when it came to past losses. So very much someone who's perfectionist is going to feel so ashamed when they make a mistake. They're going to feel like I did it wrong. They're going to feel like there's something wrong with me. So if I don't admit when I'm wrong, then I don't have to feel that shame, was basically where this whole came from. So I never wanted to admit my mistakes. And therefore, I never took the time to really pause and reflect each month and quarterly and regularly for my business on what didn't work. So if I had a failed launch, I would just be like, don't worry, I'm going to pick myself back up again and I'm going to try again. But if we don't take the time to look at why that didn't work and be really honest with ourselves before moving forward, you're going to get caught on this hamster wheel cycle of feeling more ashamed and feeling more like a failure because you didn't digest the emotions from the past cycle. I always make this metaphor that when we don't digest our emotions, it's like we're carrying garbage bags and then you just keep on picking up more garbage bags and you just got like 50 garbage bags in your hand right now. And eventually you just can't walk forward anymore. It's just so heavy. You can't do it. And so you're just going to feel stuck. And so I see this with my clients. This is definitely more of my clients who take on the kapha traits. They're going to feel stuck in their business where it literally will feel like there's no flow of energy. That could be money, that could be clients, that could be opportunities. It feels like they're just in the mud and they don't know how to move forward. The root of that is being able to digest your emotions, getting out of that stickiness, digesting the grief of your past mistakes, of the past losses, of your past identities, being able to fully process them so that you can move forward and clear. And there's no better feeling than doing that dirty work. It sucks. I am not going to lie. Having to look at your shit and your garbage on a regular basis. But the more that you exercise that will and that power to do it, there is no better feeling than feeling clear and light on the other side. Now, lastly, another way that I see my clients giving away their power is measuring their worth and their productivity and their content output. This one's hard because in our Western world, a lot of times we will see, well, the people who are posting 1-3 times a day are actually growing in their followers and their businesses. And we're seeing that the people who are putting more stuff out there, there's more success. But at what cost? And if you are a healer on your journey, your business was not meant to be set up the Western way because it's against your body. And your business is a spiritual business, which is different than just any old business. Any old business can thrive off of greed, off of productivity, off of how our capitalistic society has been grown. But your business, in order for it to thrive and what your soul has signed up for in this lifetime, says that it needs a heart-centered mission, says that it's only going to thrive when you are in alignment with your body. So for me, I definitely am in those modes and I can feel it in my body when I'm just pumping out content just to pump out content. And I'm really grateful that my audience and will always reflect to me when that is happening and when I need to pause. And I'll also notice that if I feel like I have so many ideas, and I have this with a lot of my Vata clients too. It's like they want to put all of them into fruition, and we gotta jump all of them, or else they're gonna go away. And so I endlessly will get ideas for new courses, new projects, and programs, and I want to bring them into fruition. But if I don't take the time to really pause and say, does this really work intuitively with my strategy and with what my body can do and its capacity right now? That is a whole different story. So measuring your worth and productivity and content output or success in general is a sure way to give away your power. Why? Because that's external validation. And you can just see in your life as well, are you just waiting for someone to give you a compliment? Are you on the edge of your seat of just wanting to do something in a friendship or relationship just to please that other person so that they can come up to you and say, oh my gosh, I love you for doing that. But at what cost are you neglecting? Are you abandoning yourself just to get that external validation? That's giving away your power. So those are just the main ways that I've experienced giving away my power in my body, my healing journey, and my business. If any of this resonates with you, I would just simply love to hear it. You can now put your comments in Spotify. If you're listening to this in Spotify, there's a Q&A section. I would just absolutely love to hear from all of you. And if you didn't already rate and review this podcast, you could just simply just check the stars there. It's super easy and quick. I'd be so grateful. And if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, you can actually write a review, and I would love to hear from you. And if you're not listening on either of those mediums, if you're listening for free on my website at angelicarosenary.com, I would love to connect with you through my DMs and my messages. There's a link and you can click to my Instagram page. Just send me a direct message. I read and I listen and I respond to each of the messages. I love to hear how you're experiencing this relationship with power, because this is definitely something that we're stepping into right now into the collective. I've seen a lot of my community members. I'm so excited for them. Some of them are really stepping into this like queen royal energy, and they're stepping into leadership. And I see other of my clients are stepping away from, external validation that they've been getting and learning how to step into their power in a new way by aligning their business with their body. So there's so many different ways in which this is coming out, and I would love to hear from you. And if you love this episode, please rate, comment, and review on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And lastly, doors are now open for Ayurveda for your business and your hormones course. So this is a course to deeply heal and align your hormones, between balancing your digestion, your energy levels, and your sleep and your menses. And learning, once you are in that state of clarity and feeling and aligning your body, how can you set up your business that way so that you're not setting up your business to burn out, you're not setting up your business to failure, but to truly thrive. I have deeply learned this and created my own process for this under the lens of Ayurveda. And I've worked with a lot of Ayurvedic practitioners who very much see the world through the lens of Ayurveda and the doshas and the energies. And it's been my gift to share how you can create your business through the lens of Ayurveda so that it feels really good for you and you can create the success that you've been dreaming of. All right, everyone, that is all that I have for today. I'll have all the links below to my Instagram and also to the Ayurveda for your hormones and business course. Stay tuned next week. I'll talk about a lot on how you can step into your power by aligning with your true nature for your body and your business. And as always, have a beautiful rest of your day.